Join us, Alix and Colleen, self-proclaimed fake it till you make it experts, as we navigate the highs and lows of being a woman and how the pressure and overwhelm of trying to do it all often leads to feeling like an imposter in our own lives. For our final bonus episode of Season 1, Colleen and I reflect on everything we've learned and what we're going to take forward into Season 2. Thank you all so much for tuning in with us over the last few months. We really enjoyed having you here.
Hi, Alix.
Hi, Colleen.
Here we are for bonus episode.
Yes.
Which is bonus episode.
In a bonus location.
That's true. So we're at the end. We're at the end of Season 1, and it's kind of, we learned a lot compared to the day one when we started this. First of all, we learned that we kind of suck at this.
We learned that Alix loses files a lot. Which is why we're re-recording this bonus episode right now.
It's a bonus. What happened to the bonus episode?
I don't know. It disappeared into the ether with the missing recordings and all the other files that I have lost over the last 4 months.
And the funny thing is, we only had a bonus episode because Jen hadn't shown up. Remember, we talked about it last week. Jen didn't show up this one night, so we were like, well, let's record just the two of us. And so we said, well, we'll call it the bonus episode at the end, which we really didn't need a bonus episode.
No, but now that we've promised one.
We promised the bonus episode that we've now lost. So now we're bonusing for the bonus episode.
Anyway, I don't know. I went to look for it yesterday and it was nowhere to be found. So who knows?
So we're in Alix's beautiful home. Behind us is not the artwork from the Mellow Mug. It's the phenomenal artwork from Alix's husband, Matt, who is a poet, and all of his beautiful poems are displayed graphically on the walls. It's gorgeous in here.
It is true. And also my son is home. So if you hear yelling in the background, it is him.
He's excited on his video game, so the mic might pick him up. Although that is one thing we did right.
We got the right mic.
We bought a really good mic from the beginning of the season.
Yes.
What we did wrong was only buy one.
Correct.
So we're going to get two more. So the sound quality should be better next season.
Lesson number 1.
Yes.
That we learned is that we need more mics. But the mic that we got was great for blocking out really loud fridges and hopefully 11-year-old boys.
It's funny. We weren't sure that was going to work because when we're in the coffee shop, which again we film at Mellow Mug, and they've signed on with us for Season 2, which is pretty amazing. But the fridges are loud when there's no patrons in there and no music and it's quiet at night. The fridges, they are humming.
Yes.
So this beautiful Yeti mic takes that out. Yeah,
it was great investment. So that was one thing that we learned.
Good job there. Good job on the mic choice.
Right, but that was Melissa Burbage. Good advice there.
Yeah, Melissa, we did. That's the other thing we did well, was we consulted with somebody who knew a lot about podcasting from the very beginning, and gosh, we learned a lot from her. And then we've learned along the way, but I got to say, we went into this really not having a sweet clue. And I have to thank you for your technical knowledge. I'm probably doing more of the managing, organizing side of things, I guess. Like
probably should be doing managing of the files.
I should. Really?
That's lesson number 2.
Lesson number 2. And you've been doing, I learned very quickly on that I suck at editing.
I don't know if you suck at editing. I don't know if it's like as much you like it as much.
I don't like it, but I find you have a way of putting things together. You're like, oh, I think we should move this to this section, or move, I was just like, whatever. I would just play the whole thing in its entirety and call it done, and remove some ums, which there's a lot.
Yes, that's lesson number 3, learning not to speak over one another, which we have gotten better at as it's progressed, but there's still room for improvement there.
So one of the things that I've noticed is that Alix will say something like, she'll say to a guest.
What will I say? That's interesting.
That's it.
Because that's all I fucking say. That's all I say all season at every break that I talk.
And I always say, I like that. Oh, I like that. So we've picked up a few little sayings that we don't like, that we're like, we got to knock those out for season 2. We got to stop saying that crap. But Alix will make a comment, and every time she makes a comment, I then repeat it. Alix will say, oh, I think that's a really good idea. And I'll go, yeah, that's a good idea. Like everything you say, I come in with the last 3 words of your sentence begins the next sentence for me. What is that?
Well, I mean, you don't say that's interesting every time I say it, or otherwise that would be the only word.
It's not always interesting.
I seem to think everything is.
You really do. You really find everybody fascinating.
I need to find a different catchphrase. I mean, it's not that I don't find most things that I talk about interesting. I just feel like I say it a lot. Like basically every time I say anything, that's what I started with.
That's funny.
It is kind of also annoying when you're editing yourself and you're like, really, again, Alix? Like,
well, I have to say you are harder on yourself editing than, you know, sometimes you're leaving stuff in with me and I'm like, oh my God, why did she leave that in there?
Well,
then you're harder on editing your stuff, you know, like
this is the thing that I've learned too about editing is it's a lengthier process than you think, because you really need to listen the whole way through, because if you edit something out that then prefaces something later or vice versa, it becomes very disjointed. And in the first few episodes when I was editing like a lot, and then nothing made sense. So I stopped doing that. But I just don't naturally speak as much, because that's not the role that I take in this either. Like, you are the interviewer, you're the conversationalist. I'm like, you know, the comedic relief that hops in, or the fucking person that says that's interesting. Like, that's my role here. And then I edit. So it's not even that I'm editing myself out that much. I'm not speaking that much, and that's okay, because that's where I'm comfortable.
I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I've spoken the majority of the entire podcast. You know, we do this episode, I'm speaking the most, and then I speak more than the guest. And then I listen back afterwards and I'm like, what is this? The Colleen show? Like, what the hell?
That's not a bad thing.
Oh my dear. Well, I think it's awesome. I've always wanted to do a podcast, and I wouldn't have done it without you.
Likewise. I don't know that I even always wanted to do one. Sorry, cough. Sorry.
She may or may not edit that out.
I will edit out. I'm not sure that I would have ever done one or wanted to, but I have really enjoyed it way more than I thought I would.
Isn't that nice? I've loved being able to add podcaster to, we should probably add like bad podcaster, but you know, amateur podcasters. There you go. But I've enjoyed adding that to the list of things that we can do.
I have too. And I also love like a few of the speaking engagements that have come out of it, and opportunities to kind of talk about imposter syndrome on a wider platform. And, you know, we've talked to a few people who hadn't really even identified it with themselves, and then really got a more insightful thought pattern on maybe how it was presenting in their own businesses, and wanted to kind of combat that a little bit. So I think that's really awesome, because that's part of what we wanted to do with this podcast, is spread awareness, build community, give people support systems.
Don't you find that now that we're talking about it more, you and I, that you're finding it showing up even more in our lives?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, just because I can identify it doesn't mean it goes away, unfortunately. However, I've definitely used some of the tools and thought processes from guests when it ramps up in a really big way, to try to reframe my thoughts.
Yeah, I'm the same.
So I have found that to be very helpful, but that doesn't mean it goes away.
No, it doesn't go away. But I do think that maybe we need to do a little bit more of a focus on some of those tools.
Yeah.
Maybe next season, because they are helpful. Like, I'm using them as well. And maybe we should do a little bit more with that, because it's amazing to me how many people feel this way and feel unsettled in what they're doing. And I mean, high profile, confident women, high achievers, and then they turn around and they say they have imposter syndrome and they're following the podcast. And it's funny when we ask them if they want to be on, there's some women that are like, oh no, I can't be on that. I can't admit to.
Well, we've even had people that feel like imposters, like being guests on our podcast as well, which is kind of hilarious because we are complete imposters doing it. I mean, I always find at different stages of my career, if it's a growth stage, then it really ramps up. When I start working with new clients, it ramps up. It's sort of just, I don't know what to say. It like ebbs and flows, I guess.
It does ebb and flow. See, I just said ebb and flow. She said ebb and flow, so I said ebb and flow.
Do you know what? That's interesting.
That's interesting. I like that.
We should have a drinking game. Listen to imposter syndromes, or if you don't drink, a non-alcoholic drinking game. Every time I say that's interesting, or Colleen says that's good, you take a shot, and that could be actually really dangerous. Don't do that. Don't do that game.
They wouldn't be like, it would be before the first commercial, and we would have people passed out. I don't condone that game. That's a bad game. Especially most people listen to this when they're driving.
That's true. I thought you were going to say when they're drunk, and I was like, oh, that makes sense.
Driving
probably sounds a lot better.
Serving up hot brews, refreshing cold drinks, lots of fresh baked goodies, and delicious lunch options. Visit the Mellow Mug in the heart of Larry Utech for dine-in, takeout, or drive-through service. Their spacious cafe offers a casual and inviting vibe that's perfect for everything from enjoying a good book, hanging with friends, or meeting a colleague. The Mellow Mug is your neighborhood spot for great coffee and delicious eats and sweets. So what's your highlight this season?
Oh, what is my highlight? I think it was getting more comfortable meeting new people, because that continues to be a huge struggle for me. And a lot of the guests I had never met before. And I really had to kind of get out of my comfort zone to make conversation, try to say other words other than interesting, just to get out there a little bit and meet new people and be vulnerable as well, because we're talking about, our own kind of deficiencies, quote unquote, when it comes to imposter syndrome. So yeah, I think the opportunity to put myself in a new area and enjoy it. But also I just really liked hanging out with you. So
that's sweet.
I mean, it was cool that we had this project to work together. It kept us kind of like tethered through the week, talking about like editing, and you were writing these amazing blog posts and doing all the graphics and things, and then talking about guests and sort of being able to debrief. It just gave us a lot of points of connection, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah, that's nice. That is a highlight for me as well. I mean, we talked about it on the last podcast as well, the end of our conversation. Because we thought it was going to be our, season ending of you and I having to say thank you for,
well, at least I'm not wearing a hat.
But you're not.
I would have been wearing it. We recorded that one in February. So
we are inside, but we're normally inside also. But yeah, I think a highlight for me, I really enjoyed our social media day. Yes, I really enjoyed. We spoke at Social Media Day a couple of weeks ago, and we did a presentation on imposter syndrome. I loved doing that.
Yes, that was also pretty awesome.
Yeah. And I mean, that came because of, that's an opportunity that presented itself because of us doing this podcast, which is, pretty cool. And I really hope that we can do more speaking engagements, and I liked that. I really enjoyed that.
I did too. And it was really fun because remember we showed up and someone recognized us.
I know.
Like, oh, are you guys the Imposter Sisters? And I was like, what is happening?
They immediately feeling the imposter, like,
It was like, that's really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's probably how she knew it was me.
What?
Because I said that's interesting. All right, I'm done with that joke.
That's interesting. Speaking of jokes, one of you ticked me off
Why?
in one of our sessions because I had the best joke. And then this one says it before because we both went into an episode with Jen from Tan on the Run, and we both had tans from Jen from Tan on the Run. And I was like, the night before, I'm like, I'm going to say that Jen's the only one that's ever seen the two of us naked. And we start the conversation and you were like, so I have to say, and you said it.
Well, Jen's you said we almost, it wasn't planned, but it sounded like it was because you were like, I have to say something. And then I said it and then we laughed. So yeah. I do apologize that I stole the punchline, but it did work well.
But no, it's not that it's funny that we both thought of the exact same joke.
I know.
So we're starting to get into each other's heads.
The cat has joined the podcast if you're watching on YouTube. If not, that's just confusing.
The cat also joined our social media day presentation.
Yes, that's true. Well, Colleen's cat.
This is my cat. Yes, we did this part where we were showing power posing.
We'll add it to the show notes if we can.
Yeah, and Alix was doing this. Alix was showing the pose. We did a photo of Alix showing the pose, but my cat's tail. It looks like Alix has a tail.
That's true.
And when we were doing our presentation afterwards, when we asked if there were any questions, somebody brought up the whole thing.
They asked if I had a tail, which I don't. So don't start any crazy rumors.
And really, only Jen from Tan on the Run
would know for sure.
Know for sure. True. Yeah. The other thing about podcasting is 30% of our guests have been named Jen.
Lesson number 4: diversify names.
So
a couple steps. Lots of Jens.
Yeah, we had 2 steps.
I mean, that really just shows the generation that we're interviewing.
That's true. That is true. But next season, we're not interviewing any Jens. So if your name is Jen,
you're not allowed.
You're not allowed. You're like,
we've already turned away like 3 Jens.
Completely disqualified if your name is Jen. We don't want you. We've had enough.
Jennifer's though, we'll take. Jenny's?
No, I think okay, any derivative of
all
Jennifer, Jen, Genevieve, they're out.
What about like Melissa or Jessica? Or those are also names of that generation that were quite common.
And like Lori, Tracy,
Laura.
We'll take all of them. This generation is deeply ingrained in imposter syndrome.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is interesting. So that's a highlight for me was the social media day. I also really enjoyed meeting your sister.
Oh, my stepsister. Yeah.
Steph
Jolene.
Yeah.
She's awesome. She's like she was a very cool guest. She had some really great advice. I still kind of go back to her episode a lot because of some of the things that she uses to overcome self-doubt that I find really interesting. So if you haven't listened to that episode and you're thinking, which one should I go back to? That is definitely one to check out.
Yeah, I liked that one very much. I mean, I like them all. They all have different I got different things out of all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Some guests I found, that's the interesting thing I've discovered with interviewing somebody is that some guests are really easy to interview. It's just a very good flow of conversation. And other guests, it really takes a lot to pull out of them. And then once you get it out of them, then the conversation starts going, but sometimes it's really difficult to get the not the answers you're looking for, but just to get somebody comfortable enough to share. I guess that takes a little bit of time. So I've got to work a little bit, I think, on those interview skills to try and pull it out.
What lesson are we on? 4?
5, I think.
Oh, 5. Yes. Getting more structured in our interview, which is also going to help with editing too, because we are thinking of going back to weekly episodes, which can be, kind of a hefty workload in terms of editing. So getting more specific on the questions that we're asking and how we're asking them and kind of really understanding the answers that we're looking for. Because I think that's sort of sometimes the questions were more open-ended or broad and we didn't always get to where we wanted to get with them. So that's something that we're working on to kind of flesh that out a little bit more.
And then we learned, we heard very quickly into it. We were a few episodes in when we heard from 2 different people that they wanted more of us. which was
Flattering.
nice. It was kind of flattering. So we added a little bit of us in the beginning and a little bit of us in the end. So it's like a guest sandwich, I guess.
Yes, it is. And I think that's been working really well. It's nice.
Yeah.
It's nice for us to kind of have a little bit of chatter before and after. And yeah, so I think that's good. I don't know how guests feel about being in a sandwich with us, but
they're there anyway. They're going to be in the sandwich. That's how it's going to work. So we're going to continue that for next season. What else are we going to do different for next season?
We're going to get more questions for our speed round. I really like the speed round aspect, but I think we're going to start limiting it to like 1-word answers so that it's a little bit more comedic.
Oh, yeah.
And I think we need to like vary them because for some reason we pulled out that what body part one like
what's your favorite
times.
body part came out all the time.
And then everybody's like, whose body? And I was like, I thought that was pretty self-explanatory, but clearly it was not.
No.
So we're going to hone in on those. They're staying because I think that's a really nice way to wrap things up.
I also need to stop saying Alix is going to sing now because you're just going to do it.
It's true.
So I don't need to.
I can't handle the pressure.
No, right? So I need to stop saying this is where Alix sings. Like, just sing. Just do your thing.
I'll just like actually professionally record myself singing it this summer. So I'll have like an intro. I won't do that. I might do that. Anyway.
We're going to continue to say see you next Tuesday because we are going to still record on Tuesdays and it's going to.
Well, we're going to post on Tuesdays.
With my hair. If you're watching on YouTube, I need a hat, apparently.
See, it's because you're in my house.
Mm-hmm.
Hat's required.
Hat is required. See, I just repeated what you said. See what I do?
It's very interesting.
So yes, we are going to, what did I say we were going to do? I don't know. Oh yes, we're going to keep the speed round. We're going to intro. We're going to outro. We're going to have our guest in the middle. We're going to have our couple of commercials. If you want a commercial, let us know.
Yes, we're opening it up. Our ads are open for second season.
Yeah.
I think we're like around 800 downloads for the season. I'm pretty pleased with that, given that we are brand new and have done very little to promote.
That was my job. I completely dropped the ball on it.
I think the first year we were just sort of getting settled and trying to figure out if we could actually do this thing. You know, it wasn't really supposed to be largely revenue generating or anything like that. It was just a passion project that we were kind of finding our footing for and seeing if we even liked it at all. So I think second season, we're going to get a little bit more intentional for sure. We have a great lineup of guests already. So we're pretty excited about that. We still have some spaces available, especially now that we're going back to weekly. So if you're interested, just shoot us a DM. You can email us. I think our email is impostersisterspodcast@gmail.com. But check the show notes to be sure. I have a lot of Gmail accounts, but I think that's it.
I think that's it too. I don't look at it. You look at that. I should probably get access to that.
Yes, you should.
One of the ways to combat imposter syndrome is to actually listen to how awesome the people in your life think you are. If you're looking for the perfect gift for a loved one, where you can tell them all of the things that make them special, visit my Drawbridge Creative Etsy shop and purchase a Things We Love About You custom poster. With several styles to choose from, it's a fabulous gift for any milestone birthday, anniversary, retirement, or just because. So here's the main thing I learned. If there's something you want to do it. Like we're kind of flubbing away with this. We're kind of, what did we call it? Muddling, I think we called it in the beginning of the season. We asked people to give us grace. We've learned lots. There's still lots more to learn. We're kind of messing up on a regular basis. Thankfully, we're called Imposter Sister Podcast, so everybody knows that we're really, faking it from the beginning. But it's been a really big lesson on going for it, doing it, having fun.
Yeah, and giving ourselves grace, I think. And thankfully, Colleen is not get mad at me when I send her texts about constantly losing shit. So it's a lot of compassion and teamwork, which has been really amazing. And also compassion from guests who had to re-record. Thank you, Jen and Jen. So many Jens.
You don't know which Jens.
And yeah, I think we're just having fun.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. And it's something that looked so ominous to me. Like, how do you ever start a podcast? How do people do this? And here we are, we're doing it. And I keep running into different people that are like, oh my God, that's so cool. You have a podcast. It is cool. I have a podcast. Like, it is cool. Don't you find it cool?
Yeah, I think it's great.
You could have one too. Like if there's something you want to talk about.
And if you do, invite us on, because that's also something we want to do. Rule or just whatever. Number 6, learning. We want to start going on other podcasts and having other podcasters come on ours. So a little bit of a tour, if you will. So if you have a podcast and you would like us to be guests on it, or you would like to be a guest on ours, please reach out, because we would love to do that.
What does your family think of this?
My husband makes fun of my podcast voice a lot. But that's like, that's part of our relationship. That's how we go. So, but he, he's very supportive. I'm not sure that he listens a whole lot. He definitely listened to like the first couple episodes and stuff. And then sometimes he listens because he'll say statements back to me that I said.
Like, that's interesting.
Like, to be an ass. So I'm like, oh, you listened. How nice. But my mother and my sister have been the sweetest. I get a text basically every week that we release an episode with a little it sounded so great, and here are my takeaways from it, and I really enjoyed it, and blah, blah, blah. So that has been huge for me. My sister is across the country, and we don't speak all that much because of the time difference and just busy schedules. So having that check-in from her every week was so special to me. And it's just so nice to have that support and to know that people were, really engaged with it and giving such great feedback. So that was lovely. How about you?
I love that for you. See, I say that. I don't know what my kids think. I think it's just mom's doing one more thing. And, I think they've grown up with me having the blog, and social media, and they don't want to be on it any longer. And I think they probably would feel the same about the podcast. They certainly wouldn't want me to get on here talking about them or telling their stories or whatnot. So it's just one more thing that mom is doing. But I also think they're proud of me. Yeah, I think my kids are always proud of me that, I put myself out there and I do different things and I try different things. And Megan has shared, they've actually, not just Megan, Noah, and Emily have all shared the posts that I've done or the episodes that we've done. Not everyone, but they've shared some stuff. So yeah, I think,
it's been great.
Yeah. Yeah. And my Aunt Betty in Newfoundland, God love you, Aunt Betty. She's listening to them all and always leaves a comment, and that's special. I find that so special, that my Aunt Bet, my dad's older sister, is out there listening to them. That is just so endearing to me.
I think so too. I've had friends that, I hadn't talked to for a while that reached out and said they listened, and that was really nice too. Just, and that they gained something from it, which is what I really enjoyed, that, people are getting new insight, or possibly just feeling better about their own struggles with self-doubt, because it's so common.
Yeah, I think what we've all learned is that women need to support one another. And I mean, I've said that for years. It's something I feel that all the time. But it's so important, especially for our mental health. You and I have both been through it for the last couple of years. And I think that, we've supported each other a lot. And I think through that, we've both recognized that it's so important to support women in what they're doing and just life.
Oh yeah.
And
it's a game changer.
It's a game changer. And yeah. See what I do?
Well, it's true. It's good to reiterate things that are true,
I guess. So yeah, I think imposter syndrome is there. It's out there, and there's a lot of people that are really struggling with not feeling like they fit in or feeling like a fraud. And I think it's good to talk about it.
I do too. I think having support from community and knowing that you're not alone and knowing that, you know, those feelings often aren't really based in reality is reassuring. And it's easier to come out of those sort of, I don't want to call it like flare-ups or episodes, or I mean, that sounds like so 1950s, but when those feelings start to creep in a more substantial way, it's really beneficial to be able to talk them out. And I know that I consistently talk to you when I'm having feelings about my own work. And it's really helpful to get a different perspective to say, like, you know, that's not really real.
Yeah. You're doing that to, like, sometimes it's like, you're doing that to yourself.
Yeah.
Like, you got to back off. You're harming yourself. You're doing that to you.
And if you just are struggling alone and you don't have someone to kind of give you a different perspective, then it's really easy to spiral into a pretty dark place. So we're hopeful that this podcast is giving people a little bit of insight into, you know, where those feelings might be stemming from and how to address them in a more realistic way. And just to know that you're not alone, and it's, you know, it's a pretty normal.
It's normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't say condition, but
it's not a condition. And here's the other thing I've learned this season. I thought we were going to be funny all the time. I thought that we were going to come on here and we were going to come on with guests, and it was going to be a ha ha ha, laugh, 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 fun thing. And it's not. That's, you know, we try to instill some humor, just not on purpose. It's just by being ourselves. We get some humor in there, but a lot of times there's some very vulnerable conversations that happen around this imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
So, we're not gonna be funny all the time. And I've struggled with that a little bit. Like, I've listened when the first couple of episodes coming out, and I'm like, oh, it wasn't funny. And it bugged me that it wasn't funny. And then it's like, oh, wait now.
I mean, some of the topics just aren't that funny. And, you know, in order for it to be relatable for people when you're going through some really serious feelings, negative feelings, it's really just not funny.
It's not funny.
It feels gross. It feels overwhelming. It feels so real. So, you know, it's important to talk about those feelings and how to, you know, feel them and hopefully work through them.
Yeah. So find your friend, find somebody to talk it out with, find your accountability partners, what we started calling each other. And now I don't know what we call each other anymore.
Friends.
I hope. Find your person and, you know, start a podcast with them.
Yes. Or just listen to ours or be our friend.
Yeah. Come listen to our podcast. We are hitting season 2 mid-September is the plan. As long as we don't lose any files.
Can't promise. Also, too, if you were not at Social Media Day, we gave a presentation on overcoming imposter syndrome in social media. And it is a program that we are looking to take on the road and would love to teach to other organizations or offices or teams. It's really helpful to help combat some of those feelings that come up when you're trying to get on camera or you're trying to create social media content. And it just talks a little bit about the foundations of imposter syndrome and the types and how to overcome them in terms of showing up for your business in an authentic way. So if that's something you're interested in, you can reach us via DM, email. You know, we're here for that as well.
Come into your place of business and do a presentation or at a conference or whatever.
And we're kind of funny when we do that.
Actually, we were. Yeah, that was a good presentation.
Yeah. So it's entertaining too. It's not just, you know.
It's not all serious.
Yeah. So anyway, that is also something that we're looking to do a little bit more of next year. So if that's of interest to you, let us know.
So that's it for us?
Yeah, we're out.
That's everything we learned?
I think so. Yeah, I think that's it.
All right. See you next season.
See you next season. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Thanks so much for tuning into this episode of Imposter Sisters. Please remember, we're not doctors or mental health experts. If you're looking for mental health guidance, please see our show notes for local resources. We'd like to thank our location sponsor, the Mellow Mug, located at 64 Delridge Lane, for donating this amazing space for us to have these important chats and for supplying us with drinks and goodies. Please give them a follow and make sure to stop in to see this beautiful spot for yourself. Until next time, keep your head high and we will see you next Tuesday. Are you looking to up your social media game? Social media can be intimidating and overwhelming, but it doesn't have to be. At Everyday on Branding, we truly believe that every day is an opportunity to showcase your brand through authentic and aligned social media strategy and content. Whether you're looking for done-for-you social management or monthly strategy sessions, the team at Everyday on Branding can help you reach your ideal audience in a way that feels aligned and drives conversion. If you'd like to have the Imposter Sisters come into your business and help you and your team get comfortable creating social media content, ask us about our new Keen to Screen program, a value-packed social media training for anyone that is looking to up their social media presence either as a solopreneur or to empower their team to be impactful brand ambassadors.